Yeah, sorry about that, guys. We had some technical difficulties down here. We're going to read forward-looking statements as usual. And once we read the forward-looking statements, we put together a very simple PowerPoint. It's very modest. We want to focus on the question and answer section, so we're going to go through the slides very quickly. This presentation is about Super Crypto Mining, a division of DPW Holdings. We're first going to start by reading the forward-looking statements.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first Digital Power Holdings Investor Conference Call 2018. As Mr. Ault alluded to, over the next hour, you'll be hearing from himself as well as the CEO of Super Crypto Mining, Mr. Darren Magot. Mr. Ault and Mr. Magot will guide you through a presentation and then we'll respond to questions. You can use the Q&A option at the bottom of your webinar screen to submit additional questions that will be answered as time permits. Both the presentation and the recorded webinar will be made available for review after the meeting. We are required to read the following safe harbor statement before we begin, which I will do now, and then turn the webinar over to Mr. Ault. This presentation contains forward-looking statement within the meaning of the Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995, including, but not limited to, statements about Digital Power Corporation's expectations regarding the market demands, future financial performance, the implementation of strategic plans, and future growth. These statements are made based upon current expectations that are subject to known and unknown risks and uncertainties. Digital Power Corporation does not undertake to update forward-looking statements in this presentation to reflect actual results, changes in assumptions, or changes in other factors affecting such forward-looking information. Assumptions and other information that could cause results to differ from those set forth in the forward-looking information can be found in this presentation and in Digital Power Corporation's filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission, including its most recent periodic reports, including the risk factors listed in the Form 10-Q for the period ending September 30th, 2017, as amended, available and on our website and on the Securities and Exchange Commission's website, www.sec.gov. Thank you for your patience. Now, I would like to introduce Mr. Milton Todd Ault III. Mr. Ault, the call is yours.
So we've asked some special guests to be on the call today. William Corbett from Digital Power Lending. We have Darren Magot, the newly appointed CEO of Super Crypto Mining. And Will Horn is our new CFO, who is been with me a long time on and off for the last, what feels like more than a decade and some change. Has joined us as the CFO, which is a big accomplishment. Let's start off with Darren Magot. I'm pretty excited about his hire. I've known Darren for more than 25 years, and I watched him work with some of the best companies. I watched him work as a contractor for Google. I've watched him work on big projects for some of the best internet companies, online businesses. And so I feel that this is a big steal for us to get Darren to come be the CEO. He's a youthful guy, even though we're the same age. He's in much better shape than I am. And so we're super excited to have him here. So let me have Darren Magot talk a little bit. And by the way, it's pronounced Magot. It's French. Let's let him talk a little bit about his background real quick.
Thank you, Todd. No, I've been looking forward to this call and the chance to connect with the investors. I'm looking forward to doing so moving forward as well. And we'll continue to communicate through DPW Holdings, all that we have evolving here at Super Crypto Mining and the divisions within that company. I've been integrated with the team, and of course, you can see here from my bio, my background is diverse. It started with management and detailed management of teams, expanded into sales. I have a finance degree, so I've always leveraged that experience. And it really brings all my different backgrounds and experiences together within this company. And, you know, you're only as strong as your team. I've already hit the ground running with the team here. We have a strong group of people, and we're going to build on that and just continue to surround ourselves with people better than ourselves. And we need to be entrepreneurial. We need to be responsive to this unique market that's ever changing. And as we go through these slides, we're going to emphasize how we're going to do that. And again, we'll keep you updated and look forward to connecting throughout the year as we reach our goals.
Let's go to the next slide. So this is an important opportunity to kind of divert a little bit from the regular presentation as we talk about DPW Holdings. DPW Holdings is a holding company, and 90% of all the questions we get are around crypto. We have a lot of other businesses doing, you know, something like Coolassist, which is doing more than 20 million in sales annually now. But we're going to talk about Super Crypto is a wholly owned subsidiary of DPW Holdings. It's focused on a very rapid space in cryptocurrency. You know, right now we're mining the top 10 cryptocurrencies. That's our primary goal. We're really pretty heavy in Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Litecoin, but we've been moving towards a picks and shovels model, and that's why we started off with mining and building up a mining pool. And as we've gotten contracts to build miners, we're now entering to basically another space in mining. And you'll see that we have three divisions of the company: Super Crypto Mining itself, which is the mining operation; Super Crypto Power, where the power supplies are made by Coolassist; and Super Miner, which is something we're really excited about, where we'll ultimately be making our own mining devices in the GPU space and in the ASIC space. Darren, you want to add anything about this?
No, I was going to say just, Super Crypto Power is already up and running, producing power supplies, ones that we're going to leverage with our own machines and our cloud mining service, but then ones we're also going to sell through Super Crypto Mining, and already are having conversations with customers interested in making those purchases. And then the next level is Super Miner, as we start to develop and design and deliver machines, which, as we all know, are in very high demand. So again, just examples of how we're forward thinking. We're trying to stay one or two steps ahead of the market and really drive this market as it evolves.
Let's go to the next one. So we hope to become a leader here. I mean, the leader in the crypto mining cloud space is clearly Genesis Mining. So let's not beat around the bush. We're going after them pretty aggressively. We have really focused the last quarter on raising capital and making sure we had enough capital to start being aggressive in this space. And I get a lot of questions about this, but let's go through it. Our goal is to be a major player in the mining space for Super Crypto Mining. And our goal is to have 10,000 units. I think some better questions to be asked are, which ones are we going to have? Now, we're really focused on ASICs right now. Primarily, we're doing about 80% S9s and about 20% L3s. There are some GPU miners in there where we're mining Ethereum pretty aggressively, and we're building those out. There's a big backlog of demand for GPUs. They're hard to get. We expect that to open up a little bit in March. But it would be likely for someone to conclude that in order for us to be a big player in this space, we would have to go over 10,000 miners. And I know people have a lot of questions about how that would work. But right now, our guidance is for 10,000 miners in 2018, which we'll touch on later in the call. The coolest part of the business is that they have an electronics background and a power background. So we're really leveraging what they do. And many people know we bought a dam recently. And so it's really a power play for us, and driving those 10,000 miners to work and produce efficient. And our competitive advantage, we still believe, is going to be on the power side of the business. Anyone can buy an S9. Anyone can buy an L3. I don't know if anyone can buy in scale, but we've gotten lucky with the connections we have in China. But anyone can do that. The question is, do they have the ability to generate the power at the cost advantage we do? Let's go to the next slide.
Yeah, Todd, I just add, the 40 years of experience that comes through Coolassist is a real advantage to us in the marketplace. There's a team there that has relationships that go back decades in China that helps us secure both power supplies, but also machines for our mining at rates that you just can't get in the normal market. I just got back from Hong Kong, where we were securing another 1,000 machines with the assistance of Cool Assist and their team. And so it's impressive, and really gets me bullish when we start thinking about hitting our goal and reaching beyond that.
This is a slide for the cloud mining business, and this is something we're really proud of. We acquired Flexisphere, and we announced that this morning. I really encourage everyone to look at Tom Soleil's background. This is a guy that built futures exchanges before. This is a guy that worked with FASB and the accounting board. This is a guy that knows his stuff. And he joined the team and sold his company to us to help build out a curated blockchain. He has amongst some of the best ideas. He's one of the best guys I've met in the industry. And we're super proud to have him on board to help us build out our blockchain and our ability to pay our customers and our consumers that will be using our cloud mining space. Now, it is really hard to give guidance here, right? Because we're going to be selling hashing power. I would encourage all of you, if you're shareholders of DPW already, we get a lot of questions about our opportunities. Take 10,000 miners and figure out what hash power looks like for, say, 10,000 S9s or 8,000 S9s. And you can see we'll be reselling that. We are on what's called a priority list right now. If you go sign up at supercryptomining.com, you get on a priority list. You will be the first ones allowed. You'll have a 48-hour window, which we'll be announcing that window shortly. You'll have a 48-hour window to purchase mining power, hash power, where you can mine directly from your home. You don't need a device. You don't need to worry about power. We'll make daily deposits into your account, and you'll participate in our mining capabilities with us. This is an important part of the earnings growth, and this is why there's so much talk about super crypto. It's really growing so fast relative to the other parts of the company, relative to our commercial defense business, where we're making filters for the F-35 and we're making power supplies for a who's who of the Fortune 500 companies, to what we're doing in digital power lending and a curated blockchain, and what we're doing with MTX International, which is a whole nother business that is doing incredibly well, that we own a big stake of. So we're trying to emphasize that we realize that when we talk, the reason we're having these, by the way, I'm going to start calling them webcasts. The reason why we're having webcasts is because we want to be able to identify each business inside DPW Holdings, but we acknowledge that this business is growing very fast. And we're going to start off with Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. We're going to allow people to buy hash power to participate in our miners with us. And it will dramatically change, we believe, what the future revenue and profitability of the company is. Obviously, for those of you who are fans of Crypto Joe, who's kind of become a little bit of a, I don't know, what do you call it, that character?
Yeah.
Joe works nonstop for us. I've known Joe for a long time. He's worked for the company for 11 years, I think 10 or 11 years, maybe longer. He's actually the longest employee that's ever worked with me. And Joe begged me to start mining like 6 or 7 years ago, and we started mining a little bit. And we had some Bitcoin at $5, and we made a little bit of money. And Joe just basically last August, eventually said, "If you don't mine, I'm going to quit." Basically, so here we are, and we got to give a lot of credit to Joe for how we got here, and a guy named Steve Conneval who's worked with us closely. Anyways, next slide. Actually, could we go back a slide for a second? Is it possible?
Yeah.
Sorry to throw you off a little bit. One of the things that I like about the slide. Sorry about that, guys. One of the things I like about the slide before, can you go back? If you see over to the right, if you can see those pictures, there's really some unique new ways of racking these S9s. And so one of the things that Joe is doing is working with a firm we have in LA to help us build state-of-the-art racks for some of our newer facilities. Let's go to the next slide. So this is an important thing. to understand in terms of we're a U.S. Based miner. However, we do have a facility in Salisbury, England, which we are planning to build out a mining facility at Gresham Power. Here are the states where we're presently in. Here are the states where we're in various stages of negotiations. We have 2 facilities in Los Angeles, in Orange County. We have one in Orange County, excuse me, and one in Los Angeles now presently mining, where we basically install all of the existing S9s, L3s, D3s, and our GPU miners for Ethereum. These are big facilities where we co-located because we realized very quickly to get to 10,000, we need to do 44 units a day, and we were getting in hundreds a week and having trouble deploying them into our own facilities. So we immediately went out and said, okay, what colos do we have now, and where can we open up in the future? And there's some really great spots here, really competitive power. Obviously, New York, everybody knows we bought a dam in upstate New York, which I'm told we're closing on in the next, it could be, I think, today or tomorrow. I know that it's in escrow, yeah. So these are the states where our preliminary looking at, and then the yellow state represents where we're actually currently mining in an aggressive way. And that's not laziness on our part, but it's actually deployment, because we really want to keep our word about getting to 10,000. We really want to up that. So we really want to know that we're on a better pace than what we said we were. We want to, under promise and over deliver. So we're pretty aggressive in what we're putting in California. And Joe has worked on pretty hard where we use these, apologize, what does he call them? The cabinets, to where he's really efficiently using the cabinets. I know he tells me that we're maxing out all of them, but he's pushing himself pretty hard there. Got anything to add?
Yeah, no, I would just say California is intentional. It's where our network operating center is. Even though we have proposed locations, there isn't a state or even a country that we haven't made calls to consider. Looking closely at utility rates, power sources, considering all types of energy, hydro, obviously with the dam, and even beyond what we have in New York. Also looking in countries like Canada, Quebec specifically, and leveraging their network of companies and just smart people on the team. So this is a growing map, and you're going to see us everywhere, taking somewhat of a blockchain, decentralized approach on where we house our machines to spread out the risk and also diversify our costs. I think we're ready for the next slide.
Hey, Will and Will or Bill, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I got you good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just making sure we're okay here. We'll touch on this. This is really a Coolisys product, but what we've done is we've allowed Super Crypto to sell them. Coolisys is really business to business sales, not business to consumer, not business to customer from a miner standpoint. So what's happened is Amos Khan, the CEO of Coolisys, and president, and works with me on the board at DPW Holdings, and Darren have decided that Super Crypto would sell the power supplies and make them available to the public, and they would be manufactured, and the technology would still go through Coolisys Technologies. That's a really important part because Amos has such experience in the power supply business. Now, we sold out of them, as we said already, in other releases, so you really can't get them anymore. And then internally, everything that Amos is making, we're buying internally. So we basically cut this off to the public as of right now, because not only did we sell out of them, but then we need them internally. So this has turned into be a great relationship for Super Crypto to work with Amos's team at Coolisys. People need to put together that Amos has already had manufacturing relationships in China that have been developed over the last 40 plus years, and the last 11 years under Amos's control. So that's working out really, really well for us.
Yeah, Todd, I just add, when you sit down with someone that's a miner like Crypto Joe and his team, and they get together with Amos, who lives and breathes power supplies, they quickly identify ways to improve the power supply. And it's something as simple as a power supply, but we put down a couple ideas here that they've already started to implement, which is being able to remotely access that power supply to monitor its productivity and its heat, but also reboot it from a distance. So it really comes into play as we start working smarter, taking the experience of our miners and putting that with our engineers to create better products that we not only can benefit our mining operations, but then sell to others.
Let's go to the next one. I kind of touched on this earlier. I'm very excited about this part. Amos and Coolesys are in development of our own miners on the ASIC side and on the GPU side. There's more to come here, but we clearly want to be in this space. We spent just in the last 2 weeks over $8 million on miners. We just picked up an additional 1,000 from Hong Kong, and we have a U.S. distributor that's giving us about 100 to 150 a week. And so that CapEx bill, you know, I'm going to digress a little bit. The CapEx bill is high in the beginning because we wanted to get to scale. But when you look at Bitcoin prices coming down, machine costs have come down too. So ironically, so far, everything we planned is working. We try to get big quickly, which we have over 1,000 miners now. And then we decided that we would aggressively buy if we could get better prices. So far it's working. But in the long run, if you're going to be a cloud miner, you're going to need more than 10,000. And if you do the math, we would spend more than $50 million on 10,000 units, all in with installation, maybe a little less, maybe between 35 million and 50 million, depending on where the prices are. Now, most of you have seen that we have a $100 million shelf. So we are efficiently raising capital and aggressively expanding our capital base. We have really expanded our asset base. It's tremendous. I hate to use words like Donald Trump, but we had a lot of options and warrants called in December when the stock traded like crazy, and so our capital base is expanded to. Will, how would you categorize our capital base expansion to before these miners in terms of? I know we're not giving specific numbers, but it is got to be close to what, 15, 18 million, or am I wrong there? Will, did I lose you? All right, we'll come back to Will. Maybe I lost him. Billy, you're still there, right?
I am, Todd.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyways, we'll come back to Will. We'll ask him to comment on our capital expansion. But making the miners ourselves is something we're excited about. And then there's a market to sell them outside to ourselves. But we're going to make them for ourselves first. And then we're going to eventually offer them to the public if we can be competitive. We think internally we can be competitive with our own power supplies. There's opportunities to build in a power supply to the unit, have a power supply power more than one unit. So there's lots of opportunities there that we're looking at. Let's go to the next slide.
So again, this is our vision, and this really kind of reiterates what we shared earlier, where we're going to leverage the strengths we have within DPW Holdings. So not only Coolesys, but Flexisphere and their experience, not only with mining, but with blockchain, with cloud mining. There really is no stone that we're not going to turn over, no path we're not going to walk down. We're going to do so cautiously. We're going to diversify. We're going to make sure we protect our assets, but we're definitely going to look for future opportunities to grow revenue.
I think one thing I'll add to the vision here is, I don't know if most people realize when you run on a 256 like an Antminer runs in terms of algo, there's a lot of altcoins that are being created where an S9 can be directed to. So one of the things we like about what's happening with Bitcoin is that there's no question that more people are producing on the Ethereum blockchain, the Ethereum smart contract, than they are with the 256. But there's a significant amount of 256 that's out there, And it will allow us to, after we have a nice install base, to take advantage if any of those coins start to move up the ladder, or if there's authentication opportunities for us to participate in mining that we deem profitable. So the network is important, but selling into that network and building a cloud mining unit will help also offset costs, but allow us to expand faster and really smooth out the servicing revenue. Because when you sell an advanced contract like that, you're effectively selling out future revenue, and you're allowing yourself a little bit more of a smoother curve than just mining all by yourself. Is there any more slides?
I think we're getting towards the Q&A, but I think that is key what you said, Todd, that we're going to leverage our profitability to reinvest in our company and continue to grow, but then also work in a way where we manage our money and we trade and we make decisions on which coin we're mining when. We'll have eyes watching that and making those smart decisions as we go. All right, let's look at some questions here.
Yeah, I was going to take a moment to. I talked to the company today. We thought about this a little bit, and we got a lot of questions. Not a lot, but a few questions about me personally and what has happened in the past. So I thought about. I don't normally address it because a lot of it is regurgitated and effectively fake news, but it's important to the shareholders to understand that a couple things. When Philou Ventures, my wife and I invested, the company was being delisted. We came in, raised capital, put in our own money to secure the company, and we secured a preferred and control of the company. That happened at a period of time when the company had $7 million in revenue, had $3.5 million in assets, and was about to be delisted by the New York Stock Exchange. We've since raised millions of dollars. The revenue forecasts are 44 to 49 million for 2018, and we're probably looking towards raising that guidance depending on how super crypto goes. There's other things happening, other factors. So I want to address by saying that we invested the time in the company when there was nobody there to rescue the company. And in fact, the company had been looking for 12 months and was on the verge of being delisted. And the New York Stock Exchange had raised their capital requirements. On a second note, there's been some personal comments about me being sued out of the 2008 financial crisis. And I thought about, well, maybe I'll answer all of them directly, but I'll just make it simple for everyone. Everything that was involved in 2008, 2009 has been dismissed or settled. None of it was any kind of criminal activity. It was all civil. In fact, a lot of investors got paid back after Patient Safety, a company I founded, was sold for $120 million to Stryker in 2013. But on a really important note, and this is the note I really want to emphasize to the company for its shareholders, the 13 hedge funds that people talk about suing me in 2009, not only was that dropped, but two of the largest investors that have invested more than $10 million in the company are the two original people that sued me in that lawsuit. And they are two of the biggest supporters. Billy Corbett, you there?
I am, Todd. I'm here.
Billy, you're responsible for dealing with those guys. And I thought, maybe, did you have a comment at all about the support we've gotten from investors that had sued me in the past?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I've been a friend of yours for 10 years. I've been involved with the company since October of 2016, almost from the get-go. I'm proud to work with you, Darren, and the whole crew. I've had 23-year relationships with the two institutions you're talking about. They've made a lot of money with us. They started in November of 2016 investing in us and sharing our vision. They continue to be huge supporters of what we're doing and big supporters of you, actually, in particular. So I don't think they could be happier over the last 12 months.
Billy, I appreciate that. I won't have any further comment about that. Get to talk about now some of the questions you have. So Darren, why don't we look at some of the questions people have? This is an important part of the Q&A, and we're excited to answer Q&A. This is one of the reasons we did this in the first place. We have enough time here to go through about 15 to 20 minutes of questions, and hopefully this will bear some light on what we're doing.
Yeah, thank you for everyone for your questions. We have quite a few, so we'll move through these. I think they'll answer. There's a lot of repeat questions, so we'll be able to answer a lot of thoughts you have. I also want to point you to the slide that's up currently. We're going to send a survey to those that we have an email address for after this. We'd love your feedback just so we can improve on these calls and we can set them up so they're as beneficial as possible for the investor. All right, Todd, I'm going to read you a couple of these. I'll let you answer, and I'll jump in where I see fit. First question is, how is mining equipment being paid for?
We're paying for them in cash. We don't use Bitcoin to buy them. And if the question is more, how is it being financed? We've raised capital over the last 6 months or so and have sufficient cash to pay for the miners. And we filed a $100 million shelf, and we use it occasionally to help grow the company's assets. I think that, that's an important question. People ask about dilution a lot, and we're trying to grow the company to scale. With estimates of 44 to 49 million for 2018, and multiple divisions, a business like MTIX International, a business like DPW Lending, which is being run by Mr. Corbett, Coolest Technologies with more than 20 million in sales and growing. The holding company owns complete other businesses that in themselves could have their own growth story. And so if you know anything about my past, I'm a guy who's taken over other companies. I've done, I think, 19 deals in 28 years. And I would look to buy assets for DPW that could be separated. There could be an IPO of them. And so I have not ever sold a share. I continue to buy more shares. Phil Lou Ventures has never sold a share. And so we're looking to build the assets of the company. So I would look to people to talk about dilution in the sense of what's the asset base now? What's the revenue growth potential? What's the free cash flow look like for 2019 and forward? And we're trying to create free cash flow and individual asset pools that we think we can monetize later. And we're in really interesting spaces. Coolest is really getting acceleration from the defense business. And so super crypto is growing like something I've never seen since the internet days. So it's not a dilution story for us. It's really a asset base and how big we're expanding the company. I'd rather own 2% of a $1 billion business than 10% of a $10 million business. So we kind of put it in that category. What's the next question?
Here's one that kind of falls in line with that is, are you considering an ICO in the near future?
So I love this talk about ICOs. We probably get this question every day. I think once a day we get this question.
Absolutely.
We are definitely in active talks about the idea of what you could do with the hash power, whether you could dividend out DPW shareholders, whether you could let them participate in the mining profits. And as you know, the SEC looks at all this stuff, and we have good lawyers. And so I can say that we're in active discussions to not only look at possible ICOs, possible IPOs of super crypto, but anything that we'll do, and this is important because I'm a shareholder along with you, anything we do, when we go to do it, will benefit the DPW shareholder. I want the value to accrete up to all of us. And so we're looking at those wide open. I think Will Horn, our CFO, would say with our position in WSCI and the various acquisitions we're looking at and the integration of Flexisphere and what we're doing with Coolest and Intertech, he'd probably say, give me a little time to digest what you've done. I'm sure he would. So, but we are actively looking at opportunities to monetize and help give more capital at the benefit of DPW shareholders to super crypto.
Yeah, absolutely. And we want to be cautious. We want to do it right. We're a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange. We need to walk through the front door, consider it a security. And so we'll be cautious, but we'll move forward and consider everything. All right. How many current miners are actively mining? I could take this one, Todd. I mean, we've mentioned in press releases that we're on a pace. We increased our pace from 50 a week to 100 a week. We talked about, me personally being in Hong Kong last week and leveraging our relationship with Coolest to secure 1,000 miners. We don't divulge the exact numbers for competitive reasons. We'll report quarterly, but I can tell you we're well on pace towards our goal of 10,000 if you do the math. And Todd threw out a number of 44 a day. That's kind of our number if you don't work weekends. But luckily we got Crypto Joe working at weekends as well. So we're going to under promise and over deliver here. All right, what cryptocurrencies are we mining?
We're mining Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum. People joke all the time, are you mining Ripple? Like it's a trick question. You can't mine Ripple, by the way.
Litecoin, I'm excited about Litecoin.
I love Litecoin. I think we're pretty aggressive. Hold on a second. So Joe is in the room. Crypto Joe's in the room. We aggressively mine Litecoin. Now it seems like Litecoin is really accelerating, right?
Yeah, we are aggressively mining Litecoin. Litecoin is accelerating with the Lightning Network and the Atom exchange coming online with Litecoin in 2018. It's going to be a big deal. So yeah, we're getting pretty aggressive.
This Litecoin network, Lightning Network, is something that we're pretty excited about. But what we said earlier is we're pretty much up. We leave the GPU miners. We kind of keep out of the category of 10,000. So we're about 80-20 between ASICs miners and Litecoin's still ASICs, it's script based, but we actively buy about, for every 8 S9s, we buy about 20 L3s.
Great. I like this question. This person's bold, right to the point, which we like. I don't know how good we can answer this, but is our mining division profitable?
So I'll take the question by saying, I wish Will was here to have this conversation. I said earlier, our CapEx for the last 30 days has been at $8 million in the space. So depending on the life of the machines, you could argue that by the end of the first quarter, the super crypto division only of DPW would be profitable, because even though we've given guidance that we're using revenue guidance from $12,000 per Bitcoin, we're still profitable mining Bitcoin because of energy costs, etc. Will, were you saying something there? I didn't hear you. So you have, if you exclude CapEx, we're definitely free cash flow. There's no question. But we're aggressive in CapEx, and you have to burn off through depreciation part of that. So we're not going to give guidance till the end of March. Our plans are right now to start publishing our hash power so you could see how many miners we have. And our plans are to be fully transparent and audited from a hash power perspective. We think this is important because several cloud miners don't tell you what they're really doing. So that's an important spot for us.
Billy, this is a question for you regarding digital power lending. It's asking for an update on the lending license. It says, is the lending license approved, and are we currently lending?
Yeah. Hey, Billy?
Yeah.
Hey, Billy?
Yep.
I'd like to say one thing about this. We get a lot of questions that we didn't keep our word here. We said on the conference call or the webcast on December 20th that we thought it was imminent, and we are lending in the space. Digital power lending is lending money. We operate with certain exemptions, but the state of California came back to us with some questions, and we can't stop what they do and how fast they do it. We were told it was imminent. Then they came back with some questions. Billy, why don't you take over from here?
Yeah, appreciate it, Todd. So first of all, this is Bill Corbett, and I wanted to really, thank everybody for their continued support out there, and we really appreciate it on behalf of everybody at the company. And as Todd had referenced, we have applied for a California finance lending license. It's been talked about a lot. It seems like it's overdue. It's with the Department of Business Oversight. I am happy to report, as Todd said, that we've addressed all of their minor and procedural questions, and that the DBO has actually said that we're in great shape. So we are confident that our pending approval is imminent, and we will report once it is. We've made loans in the hospitality and the manufacturing space. We're making money, and we're really looking forward to even being more profitable once the DBO gives us our approval. And not to make your head big, Todd, because I think a lot of the guys on the internet that smash you take care of that, but I think you've done a great job as the visionary in really discovering revenue drivers for the crypto marketplace. And as we mentioned earlier with the picks and shovels, I'm a lifelong San Franciscan. And I really kind of liken the cryptocurrency market to the gold rush of 1849. And what I mean by that is we are the picks, the shovels, and the blue jeans, and we see that as the opportunity. And now when you kind of morph into ATMs as a driver, which we announced Monday, as most of you know, we think it's pretty compelling. And we're able to distribute loans and not just Bitcoin through the machine, but our vision is to do other currencies as well and make it more accessible to the people that visit either, our establishments or any of our joint ventures that we decide to build out. From our work, it looks like the largest ATM network is somewhere about 175 machines, but we're currently in discussions with JVs and banks and money remittance partners where we think that we can do a superb job in deploying more and more machines as the quarters go by. So in closing, really, and I'll hand it back to you, Todd, or you, Darren, but we see great opportunities with our network from Silicon Valley to Wall Street, and we think that will allow us to make loans and investments in this incredibly exciting crypto space. So I'm all in. Look forward to giving you guys updates as they become relevant and public. And I'll go back to you, Darren. So you.
Hey, Billy, how big was the loan you made to IN? The hospitality loan was 1 point something, right?
Yeah, it was 1.3 million, Todd.
Right. So we'll be giving guidance over the next couple quarters as to what the loan portfolio looks like. I think that Will is actually breaking it down from a segment reporting perspective for the next quarter. So I think you'll see that in the 10K. The loan portfolio that I saw, I can't remember how big it was, but I think it was over 5 million right now. But we'll give specific guidance to that later on in the quarter.
Thank you, Billy. Yeah, and thanks for answering some questions about the crypto ATM, because we had a few coming through regarding that.
Sure thing. Thanks, Darren.
Hey, if I could say one thing about the crypto ATM, and that is one of the things that we found is that these are put at locations that are sort of like destination locations. They're not traditional banking locations. So the institutions that put them in, because they get the advertising that they have them, they drive a lot of traffic to them, especially bars, hospitality places. So this is something we're interested in, because as we mine coin, it's a natural occurrence because of the spread that we could sell the crypto. We can buy the crypto at the ATM machines. There's a demand here for it, and it's an interesting category. It's not terribly expensive for us to get into, but the margins are very good.
All right, we have some questions around the dam. Why don't I read the first one? Did your company actually purchase the physical dam, or did you just purchase output from the dam in the form of a power purchase agreement, lease agreement, or option agreement? Just wondering about the structure.
So the dam is 2 acres, has 2 acres connected to it, and produces somewhere about a megawatt or less, depending on what the FERC reporting is. One of the generators is not working properly, so we're going to have to upgrade it. But the dam was a purchase. We own the real estate. We own the dam. We own the rights to the water going over the dam. And we plan to supplement that with regular power and build out, hopefully our goal there is to build out about 500 miners or so using that electricity to bring down that cost and be more kind of green efficient and using green energy because these things take a lot of power, and power efficiency is critical. But the dam is in escrow. It's a real estate transaction, and I signed all the papers just a couple days ago, and we wired the money for the main deposit a couple weeks ago. And the last update I got, which was Saturday, was that we were closing this week on the real estate transaction. We will, of course, file an 8K and let the public know when we officially close.
All right. So let me see here. There were other questions about, I was going to say the dam's just an example of how we really are getting into green energy. And there were some other questions about what other sources of green energy or technology are you looking to leverage? We talked about hydro. I think every river that has a building near it in the country we've looked at, especially one that has any size or a way to tap into a power source. We've talked to folks about solar, wind generation. These are all, we have someone who's very passionate about this on the team, and it's more than a job to them. It's really a hobby as they look around the country for opportunities for us to bring our costs down and increase profitability. Right. So I just add that. Okay, so would the company consider paying a dividend in crypto? And not sure about the feasibility of doing so, they say.
We've been looking into this. We actually want to reward the shareholders. This is something important to us. Can you?
Sorry, guys.
Hold on 1 second, please. So we actually want to reward the shareholders when we can, and when this makes logical sense. One of the most difficult things we're dealing with is in crypto, you pay everyone with a public key and a private key, right? So we would have to then register all the public keys and allow ourselves to be able to pay people in crypto. And if there's, 20,000 shareholders, and they're all participating in the mining profits, we've looked at rights opportunities. Should we offer an ICO that was a preferred for rights, participating in mining? And we're looking at solutions for it, because we do think that here's the problem. You have to be, if you're a believer like we are, that crypto is not going away, pull back in prices allow us to buy machines cheaper, right? And so the technology we need to be able to pay out dividends from that, and the expertise we need, we're trying to get up to speed on, because there's a huge opportunity for fraud. We don't want to lose money in crypto. We don't want it to be stolen or hacked. So it's too new for us right now, but we are strongly considering something that rewards shareholders for the experience of being in crypto mining. I mean, if you look at the other alleged crypto miners out there, it looks like we're bigger than them already. And I've seen some market caps from some of these other crypto miners that are obscene relative to where we are. But, the market will do what the market's going to do. We want to reward our shareholders. And I'm a big shareholder. My family's a big shareholder. Darren's a big shareholder. Billy Corbett's a shareholder. Will Horn's a shareholder. We want everyone to reward it, including ourselves.
All right, thank you, Todd. What strategies are you or have you implemented to ensure the safe storage of mined cryptocurrency? This is more geared towards prevention of cyber attacks and theft of mined cryptocurrency. Yeah, this is a big item, actually. You hear all the time in the news about cryptocurrency being stolen. We work hard to mine this cryptocurrency, so we protect it. We have a multi-tier security system in place that does include physical device storage in secure locations behind safes at banks that aren't accessed. I don't want to divulge too much because I'm hyper paranoid about the safety of our people and the process we have. But I can tell you it requires multiple signatures, and it's diversified, and we've leveraged some security experts to make sure we have the best security possible.
Yeah, we're definitely nervous about that spot of it.
Will you maintain cryptocurrency assets, or would you quickly convert some or all the cash mined to hedge against price fluctuations, since cryptocurrency has been so volatile recently?
Right now we're getting long Bitcoin, long Litecoin, long Ethereum, Monero. We're getting long. We haven't traded out of any of our crypto to date. We get paid daily from the pools we're in. We're getting large enough to where we probably will launch our own pool. The advent of the futures market and various opportunities to trade with different exchanges, there's still opportunities to trade between here and South Korea and different exchanges in which there's divergent prices for Bitcoin specific. So I would say as of right now, our position is we're long and we're not liquidating, but we reserve the right to change our mind and to use the coin to buy more assets. But to date, we've never sold a coin.
Thanks, Todd. Okay, how difficult is it to switch miners to different cryptocurrencies if one currency becomes more profitable? We got Crypto Joe in the room. Do you want to?
Well, Joe, if you want to chime in here, one of the things we use is a mining software that allows us to mine from one location. Joe is on the move from portable locations, from mobile locations, and he can switch all of our miners to any pool he wants to, really much at any time. Joe, do you want to elaborate at all?
Just a little bit. So the back end that we use or is designed, we are basically able to take any pool and look it up and see what the pools are doing, how well they're doing as comparatively to other pools, and if there's a deep fluctuation in the pools, not a super minor one, we can switch all our miners on the fly pretty much instantly. The software we're using doesn't require reboots of the machine, so there's not lost time there. It's pretty efficient, and that's pretty much all I've got to say about that.
Thanks, Joe. Do you plan to switch to different currencies if switching process is economical? I think we touched on this earlier.
Yeah, we're very nimble. We're going to pay attention. We've been in a hiring mode, and so we've hired analysts and consultants to help us look at which coins are the most profitable, etc.
Any thoughts on focusing on blockchain uses outside of cryptocurrency? Yeah, I think this question is really important to me because I'm seeing the integration of blockchain technology with mainstream banking and any sort of institution with lots of transactions. So being a mining facility, we have the opportunity to support those. I think it's a good safety net and definitely something that we're talking to teams about, especially those at Flexisphere. After this acquisition and even before, we've had conversations, but we're going to sit down and dive a little deeper into that because they have a lot of experience with blockchain and they have connections that we can maybe leverage to move beyond what's traditional. All right.
We're going to be wrapping up here in a few minutes. Let us answer a couple more questions. You got?
We can go down here. Updates on MTIX.
We do have a conference call for MTIX International. The machines, the $50 million purchase order. I'm super excited about this business. It is so scalable, and Phil Mansour and the team, Previn. That's an exciting call. That's on February 21st, I believe, and we'll cover all of that. We own a big chunk of the company. I think our investment is approaching $6 or $7 million there. I know that they hope to uplist to the NASDAQ. We have such a big stake. The funny part about it is if you do the math, and I haven't done it lately, our stake is huge relative to the size of the company. And there's a lot of opportunity there. We'll cover that at a later date. I don't know if people realize that when you look at the holdings of DPW Holdings, and the value of Coolassist, the value of DPW Lending, the value of MTIX, and then forget Super Crypto or the nearly 9% stake we have in WSI. I was an activist before. We've taken over companies before. We have currency. The holding company is going to be aggressive in the space for acquisitions. It'll make sense for the individual companies like MTIX. I don't think they need to do any kind of acquisitions. They're really a business that's been developed for 10 years. I know Coolassist is about to buy Enertech. We expect that to close in the next couple of weeks. That's going to add $10 million in revenue to us, right? So we're going to revisit those revenue forecasts. We really have almost no crypto revenue forecasted in the 44 to 49 million. And so we're going to continue to have these webcasts, and try to update people about the segment reporting of each of the companies. And we appreciate your time, your questions. Hey, Lisa, are you there? Did we lose Lisa?
Yep, I'm here. I'm here.
Hey,
no,
Lisa.
I'm here.
Lisa, this is Lisa from Zacks. And Lisa, do you have any questions for us, or were we all over the board too much for you?
Yeah, well, actually, two related to this business. One is you said you sold a bunch of power supplies and then stopped selling them. Did you ship them and book revenue in this quarter?
Yeah, they'll be booked in this quarter, and we'll give guidance to that in early March. But they will be shipped and delivered for this quarter.
And that'll be in Coolassist numbers?
That'll be in Coolassist numbers, yes.
And then I don't understand this mining business. How does that show up on your financial statements? Is it like gain on assets or something? How does this
what
work?
happens is we get paid for the various cryptocurrencies on a daily basis, and there's a blockchain which is the great news of this is that you can't fake it. So all those people out there who are naysayers, there's no way to fake it, right? We know what we get paid. The auditor has access to our public key, and the auditor can see our booked revenue. So every day we book new revenue when we get paid in coins. And therefore, after the revenue is booked, it becomes comprehensive, right? So in the case of Bitcoin, we get paid Bitcoin every day, and we book revenue every day. And it's pretty easy to forecast that. If you were to look at 1,000 machines, and we have more than 1,000 machines in this quarter, well, we'll have way more than 1,000 machines this quarter. When you look at the pace, let's say you broke it down into 2,500 machines a quarter and they were just S9s. On 1,000, right now, Joe, on 1,000 S9s, it's approximately what, 5.5 million to around $6 million, right? Depending on what Bitcoin is, right? So you can do a forecast, and then the auditors get to see our hash rate and the uptime and downtime with our software, and they can see the corresponding booked revenue. And we treat it as an asset coming in, we book it as revenue, which is in accordance with what the auditors have set up. Bitcoin's new and rules may change, but we book everything as revenue every day.
Okay, but so on the balance sheet, though, it's considered something like an other asset or something? It can't be called cash, right?
I don't know what the actual termination for what it's called. It may be other asset, yeah.
And then, since you're not getting cash for it, then wouldn't it be just like gain on asset in the other income line as opposed to revenues?
Right.
I find this whole thing very confusing.
Yeah, but only after you book the corresponding mining payment. So it would be like saying, I mined a certain amount of gold. I mined 10 ounces, and on today it was $700. And I kept the gold in our portfolio, and it went up or down. So you book the revenue, and then you take the comprehensive income and you put it through the P&L. But Lisa,
All right.
I'll have Will talk to you about that, because we work with Markham pretty closely to make sure we did it right.
Right. I mean, obviously, you seem to be forging new territory here, so I'm not quite sure how it all works.
There is a little new territory, and the division is becoming very big relative to the size of the company. Crypto itself is becoming a big generator of cash.
And this will be the first quarter that you book something from this business, correct?
We will book some revenue in the last quarter, the fourth quarter, but most of it will be booked in the first quarter.
Okay, great. Thank you. That helps.
Lisa?
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions?
No, not on this. We'll talk. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us, and we appreciate all the time you spending an hour and 5 minutes with us. Sorry for the late start. We always have a little bit of technical difficulties on these calls, quick ones.
Yep.
Darren, you have anything to add?
No, I just want to thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to connect, and I'm looking forward to calls in the near future. We'll keep you updated.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time and energy.